S. Chand presents educational video lectures as per the AICTE curriculum. Difficult concepts made easy. Study anywhere, anytime.
Okay, now when the atoms are taken in the solid state form, how the laser action will take in place, stimulated emission is done, how the stimulated absorption will be done. So now myself Narinder Kaur, now we will understand this in the this topic, that is a ruby laser. If you want to study this topic in detail, kindly refer this book by S. Chand Publishing. All the topics are given in quite details in the given book. Now the e-book link has been given in the description box. Now what is the ruby laser over here? So the firstly, as the name indicated, ruby means that is made up by the crystal Al2O3. So that is its name indicated. So the ruby here, that is firstly related to aluminium oxide. So that means it is a combination of aluminium oxide and also with the chromium atoms. So that's why this is called the ruby laser. Again, this is a solid state laser. Solid state, why this is called the solid state laser? Because in this case the atoms are which are transferring or the transferring from excited ground state to the excited state, that atoms are present within the solid. So that's why this is called the solid state laser. Again, then this is a 3-level laser. What is the meaning of 3-level laser? Means there are the 3 levels are present in this laser. One is the ground state, second one is the excited state, and then next is the metastable state. Means 3 levels are present over here. So that is called solid state laser, 3-level laser. Now next is the meaning of this pulsed laser. What is the meaning of this pulsed over here? Pulse means here the output of this laser, that is not continuous. So that output is non-continuous over here. So output is non-continuous. So that is in the form of pulses over here. So that means you can say that the laser output comes, then it stops for a while, then output comes, then it will stop. So the output is come in the form of pulses over here. So that's why this is called pulse laser. You can see clearly say that this is a drawback of this ruby laser. So in the ruby laser, firstly the material is taken in the solid state. So in the solid state it is quite difficult to make transitions from ground state to the excited state. So these transitions are quite difficult. So this is the solid state laser, then pulse laser, then that is the 3-level laser. Now next is how it is formed. Again, that is taken in the form of cylindrical tube. We know that in the cylindrical tube, or that is made up by the quartz. Again, so here we have been taken a cylindrical tube in this case. So this is a cylindrical tube for the ruby laser. Again, this is made up by the quartz because we know that the quartz material, that is stable for the laser. So that's why the quartz material is taken over here. Then again, its diameter, that is varying from here. This is a diameter of this tube, that is taken from 0.1 to 2 centimeter. So that is varying like this, and its length, that is taken from 2 to 20 centimeter. That can be varied 2 to 20 centimeter. Now in this case, the initial precursor, the solids which are taken in this tube, they are made up with the material Al2O3, that is taken over here, and there comes doping of this material. Due to doping which is done over here, that is with the chromium atoms. So chromium atoms are doped in the Al2O3 with very small concentration, that is 0.05 to 0.5%. Here doping is done very small. Now due to this chromium atoms which are present in the Al2O3, this is also called the pink laser. So the laser which is obtained over here, the ruby crystal, which is a combination of Al2O3 and the chrome. So this is a combination of these two crystals. So that's why this crystal is appear with the pink color. So again, when we are increasing the concentration of chrome beyond the 0.5%, So the crystal color will goes on changing. That means Al2O3 plus chrome. When the maximum limit is 0.5% is done. Means for 1% of this, we are doping 5% of chrome in this case. So in this case, the crystal color that appears to be pink color. So that's why this is also called the pink crystal color laser. So this is also called pink color crystal laser. Now again, so this is the basic construction for the laser. Now how the laser will be produced? So in the quartz tube again, there are two mirrors are present over here. So these two mirrors are placed at some angle. That angle is called Brewster angle. Brewster angle is what? The angle which is required for the reflection or the transmission to taken place. So this is an important angle, theta b here. This is called the Brewster angle. Due to presence of these two mirrors in this case, due to presence of these two mirror over here and the presence of mirrors at angle theta b, which is the Brewster angle, these two windows behaves like the Brewster windows because they are present in this case or inclined at the Brewster angle. Then due to presence of these two mirrors at the Brewster angle, these two windows are behave like Brewster windows. Again we know that when the laser light is produced in this case, this is a 3-level laser, so atoms will excited from the ground state to the higher energy state. So the atoms will excited to, again atoms are present in the ground state, they will excited to the higher energy state, then come to the metastable state and then come back to the ground state level. This is the basic process of laser. So in this case the laser light, or you can say that the photons will produce. These photons will travel from one end to the another end. Again when these photons will reach over here, this window, or you can say that this mirror is a partially silvered over here. One side is partially silvered. Due to this, 1% of the light will be transmit in the forward direction, while 99% of the light they will be reflected back. So again the light will reflect back. So again when these photons are reflected back in this case, so there comes atoms which are present in the ground state over here. Again it will excite the atoms from ground state to the excited state. Again these atoms comes to metastable state and then come to the ground state. Again the photons are get produced. These photons are again travel backward in the backward direction. Again the number of atoms will come in their path. So there occur multiple transitions, like multiple transition of spontaneous emission and the stimulated absorption. So there occur multiple transition for the stimulated absorption and the stimulated emission. So due to this laser light, or the large number of photons will be produced. When these photons or the bunch of photons comes to this window is a fully silvered over here, that is a fully covered from the one side. Again whole of the 100% of the light that will be reflected back. Again the large number of photons are traveled in this case. So the number of atoms which comes in their path, they will either goes to ground state to the excited state or come back from excited state to the ground state. Means there can occur the process of stimulated absorption or the stimulated emission. Again at this level, when the atoms or when the laser light or the photons reach to this end, again 1% of the light will transmitted, 99% of the light will be reflected back. So there occur multiple reflections in this case. Due to these multiple reflections over here, when the laser light, or you can say that the intense laser beam is produced over here, that will come out from this Brewster window and we will get here a laser light. Then the laser light that will be produced in this case. Now initially we want to excite these atoms from ground state to excited state. Now for this ruby laser, the excitations from ground state to excited state, that can be done by using a helical xenon lamp, or the krypton flash lamp is used. So that means over this tube, when this is a cylindrical tube in this case, So this cylindrical tube is covered with this helical xenon lamp. So helical xenon lamp is covered in this case. So this lamp will provide the energy to the ground atoms which are present in the ground state. Means the atoms which are present in the ground state, they can travel from ground state to the excited state. So this is the stimulated source in this case. So this is the stimulated source which provide the energy for the atoms to move from ground state to the excited state. Again, the ruby crystal, that is the combination of Al2O3 and the chromium atoms. So that is the combination is used over here, and also with this power supply, the capacitor is also combined over here. Then there is a helical xenon lamp which is used for the excitement of the atoms from the ground state to the excited state, and here we will get a laser light. Now let us take a short break. So we have understood here the construction of the ruby laser and how the laser light get produced. Now after the break we will understand the working of ruby laser.
Now quality learning is easily available at your doorstep. S. Chand Academy brings detailed lectures based on AICTE curriculum as per the New Education Policy 2020. So do not forget to subscribe to the S. Chand Academy and access the wide world of knowledge conveniently sitting at your home. Stay connected and keep watching S. Chand Academy. Happy learning!
Welcome back to S. Chand Academy. Now before going to break, we have understood here what is the construction of ruby laser, how it get formed. Now we will understand the working of this ruby laser. Now the ruby crystal is, that is a combination of Al2O3 and the Cr2O3. That means in this case the Al2O3, that is the main crystal which is doped by the chromium. Here the chrome atoms is doping is done. That means some of the aluminium atoms, that is the Al. Now in this case the aluminium is present in the 3 excited state, that is present in the Al3. So that is the 3 ions are present. So when the doping is done with the chromium atom, some of the aluminium atoms, they are replaced by the chromium atoms. So that means these atoms are replaced with the chromium 3 positive. So only 0.05% of atoms that is replaced, so that in order to make its crystal pink, so that because that is in the solid state laser, so we want the crystal must be visible to us. So that's why some of the aluminium atoms, they are replaced with the chromium atoms. And also at the end mirrors are taken in the, one mirror is taken as a highly polished and second one is taken as a partially polished. So these mirrors are taken over here. Again the ruby rod which is surrounded by the helical xenon lamp. So that means this lamp is used as an excited source over here. That means the atoms can jump from ground state to the excited state. So here this jumping that will be done by the xenon flash lamp, which is used to provide the stimulated absorption and stimulated emission. So one drawback of ruby laser is that as the time passes or the continuous radiations are falling on it, this system will get heat up. So the heat is produced in this case. So the system is get cooled by providing the cooling arrangement. So the cooling arrangement is necessary over here in order to get the output from this ruby laser. Now it's working. Now in order to understand the working of this ruby laser, we know that here, so what are the ground excited states or the levels which are present in this case. So in the ruby laser, firstly this is the ground state. Now if this is the ground state for atom, so firstly large number of atoms that will be present in the ground state. Now in case of ruby crystal, These are the excited states in this case. So multiple excited states are present over here because it is a combination of Al2O3 and the Cr2O3. So due to this, multiple excited states are present. So in the starting we know that if n is a number of atom in the ground state level and n2 is a number of atom in the excited state level, so in the starting n1 that is very much less than n2. So that means n1 is very much greater than n2. So this is the condition when the number of atoms are large in the ground state. Now when the light is falling on this, so this light is provided by the xenon flash lamp. When the light is falling over here, the atoms will jump from this ground state to the excited state. So multiple transitions are done. So that means the number of atoms will be present now more in the excited state than in the ground state. Means when the initial source or the atom stimulated absorption is done, so in this case N2 that will be more than N1. So this is a condition for population inversion. So that means this is a condition of population inversion. So large number of atoms are present in the excited state than in the ground state. Then again, if there is a presence of metastable state, so there is a presence of metastable state. Now this is called E1 state. So this is the E2 state. This is also E2 state because these two are the excited state which are related to the combination of Al2O3 and Cr2O3. This is the E3 level over here. So this is the E3 level. So this is here it is the E3. Now again we know that by the non-radiative transitions, atoms will jump from this excited state to the metastable state. Again atoms are more stable at this metastable state. So due to these radiations, the radiations are supplied continuously over here. Then these atoms will jump back this to this over here. So that means this is the process of stimulated emission. So that means the photons are released over here with this energy difference E3 minus E1. Now these photons are responsible for the laser light. Means firstly this is the stimulated absorption, then there occur non-radiative transitions, or in some cases spontaneous emission is also done, but that is not required over here. When the atoms jump from E3 to E2 to E3, these are called non-radiative transitions which are also not required. Now at the E3, atoms are more stable. So these transitions are frequent over here. So these transitions will take time 10 raised to the power minus 8 second. That means 10 is by 8 times of a 1 second. So these are quite quick process over here. So atoms will jump from E2 to E3. Again atoms are more stable at this level. So they will jump back from E3 to E1 by the release of these photons. So these photons are responsible for the laser light. So the laser light that will be emitted in this case. Now one drawback over here is that when the continuous supply of this xenon flash lamp is over there, this laser that will be heated up. So that will heat up. When this will heat up, that will stop working. Again the cooling arrangement is present over there. When the certain temperature or the threshold temperature is reached after the cooling, then again it starts working. So that means there occur the continuous process of firstly there occur the process of stimulated emission, then it will stop for some time, then again there occur the process when the threshold temperature is reached, again the process will started over here in which the stimulated emission will be done. So that means this will not give us the continuous power. So the power is obtained in this case in the form of pulses. So that's why this is also called the pulsed laser. So that means when the population inversion is achieved, when the atoms jump from excited state to the metastable state, so this is the process of called the population inversion. Again we know that from the metastable state to the ground state, the atoms will jump from E2 to E1 and they will emit a photon of wavelength this one. So that will be the wavelength of laser light. So the wavelength of laser light h nu, this is equals to E, and from this relation we know that E equals to hc by lambda. So by calculating the difference between the two energy level, E can be calculated, h and c, h is the Planck's constant, c that is the velocity of the light, so lambda that can be calculated. From this relation we will get lambda equals to 6943 angstrom. So this is the wavelength for ruby laser. So that can be obtained in this case. Now again this kind of photon with wavelength that will moves to this end. That means this photons in this quartz tube, this photon will move to this end. Again it will reflect back. So there occur multiple reflections from these two Brewster windows. So due to these multiple reflections over here, so at one time there will come when the laser action will be triggered. So in that case the intense laser light that will be achieved over here. So due to this repeated here transition, here this process is repeated again and again, and the photons will repeatedly move along the crystal being reflected from its ends. That means from one end and there occur the 100% reflection, from another end there occur 99% reflection, and due to these multiple reflections over there the photon beam will become sufficiently intense. That means when the intense beam is get formed, so that will move out from this window. So that will crosses the limits of Brewster window. So again in that case we will get a laser light which is coming out from this partially silvered mirror. So and the with wavelength here the lambda is comes to be equals to 6943 angstrom. So that is along, or you can say that towards the end of visible region. So that is towards the end of visible region. Now so we will get over here the laser light that will be produced. Now one of the drawbacks of this ruby laser is that the laser require here high pumping power to achieve the population inversion. Now why the high pumping power is required in this case? We know that the ruby crystal that is in the solid state form. So their inertial precursor that is in the solid state. Now it is very difficult for the atoms to excite from ground state to the excited state in solids. While in case of laser gases it is easy. For example, it is easy to move the atom from ground state to the excited state in case of helium neon laser. But here the crystal is in the solid state form. So that's why it requires high pumping or very difficult for the population inversion to take place. What is the population inversion? That is the number of atoms will be more in the excited state than in the ground state. That means in order to achieve this after the stimulated absorption process. So that means in the starting the stimulated absorption that will be done by the high pumping power, which is done by using the xenon lamp or the krypton lamp, and they are quite expensive. Second one, the major drawback, that is a pulsed laser. So why there is a pulsed laser? Because the continuous output that cannot be obtained in this case. So after some time the laser that will be heated up. So that's why the cooling arrangement is provided over here. So after the cooling, when the some required temperature is reached in this case, so it will be stopped for some time. Then again when the threshold temperature is reached, then again it will start working. So the system where the continuous power is required, when we required continuous power, so this type of laser can never be used. So that type of laser can never be used. So these are the main two drawbacks of this ruby laser. So this is all about the ruby laser, in which we understood what is the construction of ruby laser and its working of the ruby laser, and why we did not get the continuous power in the ruby laser. Thank you. If you want to study this topic in detail, kindly refer this book by S. Chand Publishing. All the topics are given in quite details in the given book. Now the e-book link has been given in the description box. Now if you like the video, kindly like, share and subscribe this video, and also you can press the bell icon for the future notifications.
All rights reserved. This video has been prepared for educational purposes only. No part of it may be reproduced or copied without the permission of the copyright holder.